This episode of Unbothered by Thai Rivera is dedicated to the memory of Mr. Kabir Singh and Mr. David Germain.
Everything bothers him.
He's unbothered.
He calls it unbothered, but that's what's cute because everything bothers him. He's bothered. I'm a botherina.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Unbothered by Thai Rivera. That's right, it's Unbothered by Thai Rivera. I'm your host, Thai Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. We're going to start this episode by summoning the spirit of Snoopy Bijou, the most unbothered little creature in the world. In case you guys don't remember, this is Baby Girl. Baby Girl has an editing project that she's supposed to be working on right now, so she's not going to be here for the whole episode. Plus, she's getting bored of being in my arm anyway, and what you guys have seen is about the duration of how long she's been in my arm. This dog wants all of my attention until she gets it, and then once she gets my attention, she doesn't want it anymore. So there's no winning with this little animal, and I've learned to accept that. And I've also learned to accept that sometimes you gotta just appreciate the love you have instead of mourning the love you had. And so that's something that I'm really learning with my baby girl is because, you know, sometimes I still do want to miss Bijou, but at the same time, I really have to concentrate on this little animal. And the thing I have to remember with this little animal at the times that I get impatient with her is that one day everything that I hate about her will be everything that I miss. Because unfortunately, we do outlive our pets in most cases. And with Bijou, one thing that used to get on my nerves was when she would get too excited because Bijou was a little piggy. And to the person that commented, I don't remember everybody's name that commented what on the last episode, but to the person that commented that Bijou was maybe a little more of a foodie, that would be true. Bijou was picky about what she would eat to a degree. Well, here's the deal with Bijou. Bijou really wouldn't eat things off the ground, and she wouldn't take things from strangers. If she liked somebody, knew them, and trusted them, she would take treats from them. But if I were to give somebody a treat for her because she was barking and she didn't really care for them or didn't feel like she knew them, even though she really loved her treats, and boy would she dance, she would not take treats from somebody that she didn't know, didn't trust, or didn't like. Whether it was any one of those things or all three of them, who knew on the particular occasion? But she wasn't one that could be bought by people that she didn't like. I guess we have that in common. But with this little girl, it's like if I take her to like a spot that she hasn't been to before, she will treat it like it's a buffet. And so I give her that line from Pretty Woman. I don't know if you guys remember that line when Julia Roberts' character's best friend Kit is at the bar and she's like eating the cherries and stuff from the bar, you know, the dressing for the drinks. She's eating the fruit. And there's a point where the bartender tells her, "It's not a buffet, Kit." And so I tell her that all the time. That's like a regular line I give her. She's still just called Baby Girl. I call her Teddy Bear a lot, so her name might be Teddy Bear. I'm not really worried about picking a name for her because Bijou had a million names outside of Bijou. It's just Bijou happened to fit her really well. My ex had named her, and we went with that. So I never questioned what Bijou's name was. But with this little dog, I never came up with a name for her, and I'm not worried about it because I call her a million different things anyway. So for the people that gave the suggestions, I appreciate that, and continue to give your suggestions down in the comments. Maybe something will hit me and that will be her name. But for right now, I don't really think about it too much. You know, I just call her whatever I call her at whatever time. Sometimes I call her Toots. That's very common. But this episode really isn't about this little girl. It's more about, you know, there's been a bit of death in the comedy community lately, and so that's been like my world because I knew these people specifically, and they're not like big comics you all would know, except for Kabir. Maybe you might know a little better because he was on America's Got Talent. I had been friends with Kabir for, let me get rid of you because I know what you start to do now, because once this little girl gets on something, she's like one of the most stubborn people I've ever met in my life. And once she gets on something, she's really on it, you know? And so, here, get out of my face. Merry Christmas. Take it to your bed. Take it to your bed. Hey, take it to your bed. Take it to your bed. That's where you eat it. Good girl. She loves these sticks. Those particular sticks are the only thing she'll eat in her bed because she, like, if I give her the other kind of sticks, because there's two kinds of sticks that I have that I give her. Both of them are digestible or easy digestible, not like rawhide or anything like that. That kind she really likes enough that she'll stay in her bed. But the other one that I have for her, she'll eat it on the rug. She'll eat it in the kitchen. She'll eat it on the bathroom floor. Wherever she decides to gnaw at it is where she's going to gnaw at it. And I really do try to get her to only eat her sticks in bed, but she will not listen. She's so stubborn about that. And it really does make me mad because I'm just like, puppy, why can't you just, how many times do I have to take it to your bed for you, put it in your bed with you, tell you to stay there, and then she won't. But this one she likes enough. And the way I taught her with this one is if she doesn't behave the way she's supposed to, I'll just take it away from her and she'll learn that way. She learns that way because she's like, oh, okay. He takes it away from me if I don't just eat it in the bed. The other one, I guess I should start doing that with too. I think I've tried it, but she just doesn't care. It's like she likes the other one more, or she enjoys because it lasts longer, but this one tastes better. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyway, like I said, this isn't about her. I wanted to talk about Kabir because I don't think a lot of people understand that I will always be my own thing, right? Because there is like I do have reverence for people when they die, especially people that I've been in some way close with, which I know what my hair looks like. I don't really care. It ain't called Unbothered for nothing. But when it comes to my friends dying, I know that my friends know my sense of humor well enough that if they were looking down from heaven or looking up from somewhere else, depending on which friend it is, Kabir and David, I'm sure they went to the good place. I don't know what you guys believe in as far as all that stuff goes. And like I've told you before, I don't mind. I don't care. Whatever your beliefs are your beliefs. I personally usually refer to it as heaven, and I do believe in heaven. But so I would say that that's where they are. But whatever you consider the good place, that's where they are. And so I figured that they would look down and know that, that's my sense of humor and that's me honoring them, especially being that they're comedians. With regular people, unless they're really big fans of my stand-up, I would probably just give something more standard. But with Kabir, I made a Facebook post about him because a lot of people don't know, but Kabir was oddly instrumental in my comedy career because I met him closer to when I was first starting out. I know that he had just started out when I first met him, but I have known Kabir for years and years now, probably 15 years minimum, maybe even longer. However long he's been doing stand-up comedy, about that is what I've known him. And he was a Bay Area comedian originally. Like I said, he was America's Got Talent. That's where a lot of people would know him from. And he did pretty well on that. And I was really pushing for him as far as posting on social media for people to vote for him on America's Got Talent during that time. And we had done a tour together that was called the Keep It 100 tour that this comedian had put on, where we went to Bahrain, Singapore, Diego Garcia, I believe is the name of the island. You have to have military orders to get there. It was a military tour. And then we went back to Bahrain. And so we were on that tour for over a week. And I think all of us were going through something on that tour. Nima Williams was on it. Daniel Dugar was the guy that put it on. And me and Kabir. And then we had our military escort, our chaperone, basically was what she was. I can't remember her name, but she was super nice. But, that tour was hard for me because the guy that put the tour on was really trying to bully me. And it was for no other reason than he saw me as some sort of threat, because he thought that I was not he thought. I am funny and I was doing really well on it. And the way that the tour worked is so that all the positions would stay equal and there would be no headliner, it was like a rolling show. So since there were four of us and we were doing four shows on that particular leg of the tour, because the tour was supposed to go other places other than just the military, we were just trying it out there, and we were shooting a bunch of footage there, which to me was a waste of time as far as them shooting footage. But they were paying me well, and whenever people are paying me, I'm the kind of person that if I'm being paid to do something, I'm usually just going to let you do whatever you want because it's your money, it's your project, it's your situation. And so I'll just let you do what you want. But I did feel like the taping that they were doing was a waste of time because a more interesting way to go at it would have been to do it sort of reality show style and have confessionals with all of us and how the shows went. Because every show I figured it out, and every show Kabir figured it out too. And then Nima was doing well every show. But I don't want to use his name even though I've used it already, and I don't care if he knows about this, but I don't hold hard feelings about it. It's just telling the story in a matter-of-fact way, but at the same time trying not to slam anybody because I don't have those kinds of feelings about it anymore. This is just all at the time stuff. And so the other comic, he was struggling every show. And it really was because he didn't want to update his material and he didn't understand that we were performing for young military guys. And so when you're doing my kind of act, yeah, I had to adjust to them in different situations, but I was having some really great sets in every position they put me in, whether I was first, second, third, or fourth. I was having really great sets. You could ask Kabir if he were still here. Anyway, too bad you're not around, Kabir. So, like, he was really bullying me, and it started from the beginning, and I was being cool about it at first, but I really thought that, he should have gone confessional style because us talking about the different things that we had to adjust to as far as the different shows went would have been really interesting because there were some shows like on every show we weren't allowed to make inappropriate jokes when it came to like things regarding females, women, because, in like, especially in Diego, which I said is an island that you have to have military orders in order to fly to. And this was through Armed Forces Entertainment, not USO, because there's two that do the comedy tours, or there were at that time. I don't know if there's more now or if one of them's gone. I'm sure USO is still going. But there was USO and there was Armed Forces Entertainment, and we had gone through Armed Forces Entertainment. And because there was different things going on as far as some of the guys being inappropriate with some of the women and the fact that we're on an island and there's a limited number of women, and so that leaves it where things could go wrong. So they didn't want us to say anything that was at all inappropriate in that way. Me being gay, I really didn't have to worry about it too much. And then also when we were in Diego, because that's in the Indian Ocean and technically is, I believe, the property of England or the UK, however you would say that, but we weren't allowed to do jokes about the royal family and that one. And I was like, I don't do royal family jokes anyway. Kabir, though, did a royal family joke while we were there, and everybody got like, oh, because it was pretty risque to do in a place where they told us not to do that. And I guess somebody could have been mad about it, and later we were told somebody did get mad about it, but I'm not responsible for that because I didn't know what Kabir was going to do ahead of time. I got treated like I was responsible for it in a way, but like I said, it just all came from this guy trying to bully me because I think he thought that I was like the superstar of the show, and I didn't think that. I'm on a cast of four is the way I see it. And so, like, some people have that idea of me that I always want to be the superstar. The less I can do, the better off I am. And especially if we're all getting paid the same money, which was the deal on that tour, all four of us. Well, I'm sure the guy that put it on was getting paid more than all of us. But like I said, we were being paid well. And I do come from the school of thought, like, if I agree to do something and know what it is I'm being paid, and then they live up to what they're supposed to pay me, as far as I go, they've met their agreement, I've met mine, and there's really nothing to complain about. And so I really didn't care about that. And I wasn't trying to be the superstar in any way. I think he just thought that in his head. And sometimes comics, especially the ones that are in authoritative positions for a weekend over me or a couple weeks over me, this tour, I want to say it was like a week that we were gone, even though it was only 4 shows that we did. But like they'll get intimidated by me because I don't like I really am good at minding my business and doing my job, and then and then on the other hand kind of just staying away and minding what it is I'm supposed to do. And I know that the guy that ran the tour got mad at me at a point because he thought I was supposed to, hey, take it to your bed, take it to your bed, hurry up, come on, go to your bed, good baby. Because he thought that I was supposed to tell him, because like one of the first things we did was we had a day off and we went to this aquarium that's really well known in Singapore, which Singapore is beautiful. If you guys ever have a chance to go, go. But they are very strict about no littering, which I'm not a litter bug anyway, so I wasn't worried about that. But they were known at that time for the guy that got flogged. There was a guy that got flogged for spitting gum out onto the ground. And literally, he got flogged, publicly flogged, which for anybody that doesn't know what flogging is, he got spanked, basically, is what happens. I think it's done with a bamboo stick or some kind of stick, and they really did. It was a situation to the point where they told us before we got off the plane to throw our gum away if we had any gum, even, wrapped gum. Like, don't chew gum while you're here because it's too easy for somebody to think it's okay for them to just spit out their gum or whatever. And so they didn't want any problems for us with that. And so, but like I said, it's really beautiful there. It's really clean, but that's the reason it's really clean, because the punishment is so severe. And then there are rules that really don't make sense. Like there was a point where I was recording with my phone just to like get a feel for what. No, I had a camera. I had an actual camera. It was a little one, handy cam style. And because this was years ago, this is like 2013, maybe, yeah, 2013, somewhere around there. And so we were down in the subway or their train, whatever they call it. And but it was like subway style, because different places had different names for their subway system, like with what's it called, it's BART in the Bay Area, and then in Atlanta I think it's called MARTA is what it's called, and then that kind of thing. In Phoenix we have the light rail. And so we were on their version of the train, or getting ready to go on their version of the train, and we were in this underground station, and I was recording a little bit of footage just to record it, and then a security guard came over and told me that I wasn't allowed to record it, which I'm in a different country, so I'm giving nobody any attitude. I follow the rules in different countries. I want people to follow the rules when they're in our country. So I treat people with that same respect. And so you get no lip out of me if you're an officer in another country. I'm just like, except for in China, they got on my nerves because they kept going through my stuff over and over and over each train station we went to, and I got annoyed with them. And then I was like, next trip, I'll bring less stuff. And so that's what I did to fix that. But for that trip, there were a few times where I got a little lippy and like, you guys, can you just chill out a little bit? But they don't understand English anyway. They all spoke, what do they speak there in China? Not Mandarin. There's Mandarin and then there's another one. Anyway, maybe it was Mandarin. Anyway, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? The point of this story is me and Kabir were on this tour, and whatever, it turned into this whole thing. And then eventually I just snapped. We went to the aquarium. That's the story I was telling you. This is what originally got this guy mad at me after the first night when he started with me. So this is day 2. And on the first night I thought, okay, maybe he's just crabby from his flight or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. We were flying everywhere together too, so I don't know how much worse his experience could have been than mine when we were flying out there, but whatever. I don't try to figure people out like that in a lot of cases. I'm just like, they're in a bad mood, they're in a bad mood. It's not my business. But what happened was he got mad at me because Kabir and Nima, who were the other two comics, had decided to go have a drink. And they told me if we get to the line, front of the line, because we were waiting in line for tickets at the aquarium, and it's this really big tourist attraction there. This really huge aquarium. Once we got in, it was amazing. It was great, and they have all sorts of fish and all the. It's a museum, and so yeah, an aquatic museum, I guess is what it would be called. And so Nima and Kabir, if I remember correctly, they gave me money, or maybe I just was going to cover it and then they were going to pay me back. Either way, they said, "Hey, if we get to the front of the line, please buy our tickets and then we'll catch up with you, but we're going to go have some shots." And the producer and our chaperone were quite a bit a ways in front of us. And so they told me, like, secretly, because the producer said that he didn't want them to drink, which I don't know why he was telling other adults on a day off not to drink. I could understand if it's show day and he's like, I don't want anybody drinking before the shows. That way you don't get too loose and do anything you shouldn't do, because there were, like I said, special rules on some of those shows. And so that I can get, and I don't think that's an unreasonable request. But this was a total day off. We didn't have a show we were doing that night. We weren't meeting with any of the higher ups from the military that night. We weren't doing anything that was at all in an official capacity on that day or that night. It was a complete free day. And so he didn't want them to drink, though, and at the time I wasn't drinking at all. And so they asked me if I could do them that favor, and I was like, yeah, sure. And they were like, yeah, don't tell him that we're going to get drinks because he doesn't want us to drink. And I was like, yeah, no, it's not a thing or whatever. Which, to me, in that kind of situation, especially when it's no, in my opinion, there's no consequence to it. Like, it's not like they were going to go do anything that wasn't legal, or they were going to go get in trouble in any way. It was just two adult men going to get drinks. And to me, if I'm asked about that and I've told them, given them my word that I wouldn't say that that's where they were going, it's just bad for morale and the rest of the tour if I snitch on them. Like, it's better to just honor my word, and they asked me not to tell, and I said that I wouldn't tell, and we just leave it at that. Like, that's the way I really did see that particular situation. So the producer then asked me, he's like, where did Kabir and Nima go? And I was like, oh, they ran to the bathroom really quick. Because that's the story I think they had told me, was to tell them that they had ran to the bathroom. Because, they had already thought of that stuff. And so I was like, oh, they ran to the bathroom. And then he was like, oh, they went to go get shots. And then I was like, whatever. And then he was like, yeah, when I ask you a question, I just prefer that you tell me the actual answer. And I was like, okay, well, I prefer that you don't ask me questions you already know the answer to. And so that was when I was starting to get tired of him. Because it's like, if you already know, which I don't know how he heard from that far away, because he was far away. But I don't like when people do that to me. Like, don't try to trap me, especially about something that you know is going to put me in an awkward situation. And also that that you as a grown man don't have any reason to worry about what these guys are doing. Like, they're grown men. They're going to get a shot. They're going to get shots. Who cares? Not me. I'll tell you who doesn't care. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. I am in line waiting to get these tickets to go into this aquarium that I didn't really even want to go to. He just saw it as like a team building thing, and he made it because Nima didn't want to go because Nima was going through his own personal situation in his personal life, and he didn't want to go at all. Which, if you don't know Nima Williams, he's a really funny comic from Atlanta, or he lives in Atlanta. And he has done Comic View back in the day. And, I really liked Nima, but that was my first time meeting him, was on that trip. He's a white guy that does mainly black rooms. And so, I didn't understand why he was making that a thing with me, but he was trying to make it a thing with me. And so, the producer was. And so, then they came back, and I don't remember if he told them anything or not, but he just kept going at me that whole tour. So at a point, I got mad at him, and I really did verbally let him have it. And this was like day 3 or something like that. And I just got tired of him being on me. And I really did give him his news. I mean, like it was one of those where like there's times when I get tired of people, and because I am a comedian and I am good at comebacks and responding to people, there's times where I'll actually clap back at people in real life, and everybody that's around us will just be like, well, damn, that went down. He said that. And and then I got out of the van because we were all in a van, and we weren't going to do a show at that point. We were going to meet one of the higher ups or hang out with one of the higher ups. And I decided I just didn't want to go because I was annoyed. And when I say this guy was on me, I'm not at all exaggerating. Even Nima and Kabir, when we would all three just be alone, because we spent a lot of time with us three hanging out, because that guy, the producer, was kind of trying to act like our dad the whole trip. But like I said, he was doing terribly on every show because he refused to understand the material he was doing was not appropriate for that. And he's the one that really got us in trouble one time because he did like a joke that was definitely insinuating forced relations at a point, and they were like, yeah, that's not the kind of joke that you do on a military tour. And so he got in the most trouble out of anybody. And with me, I didn't get in trouble for my material or anything like that whole trip. There was one night where the guys tried to boo me, and I went into this really confrontational crowd work with them, which when it comes to me and confrontational crowd work, it's like if an audience is like gonna boo me for something I say, a lot of times I'll go right back at them. And I have video of it. It was, I don't know where, maybe on my other computer, but what's it called? So they went at me and I went right back at them. And it was really fun. Like once that happened, like they booed me and then I responded to them, then we had a really good time. And it was right at the beginning of my set. So it was fun. I really respected them for the way that they handled me going back at them. And they respected me for me like going after them when they booed me. And, it was just great. And so, which is also coincidentally the night that he did the joke that he shouldn't have done. The producer did that joke that he shouldn't have done. And I know that that was a big part of why he was so on me, was because he just kept bombing every show. And it was just like, how are you the producer? And you bombed when you were first, you bombed when you were second, you bombed when you were third. Like you're just bombing every show. And you're supposed to be the leader of this, and you're acting like our dad at the same time. And we were all grown men. Like I said, this was only, which I say only, but 11 years ago. So even though we were all obviously 11 years younger, we were all grown men. And he is probably 10 years older than each of us or all of us. And so, he just, like in that way, it was like he was undermining his own authority because he wasn't able to do the job. And so when I finally let him have it and had enough of him, because like I said, he just stayed on me, then it like set it up where he kind of learned that I would really clap back when I got tired of him. Because the other stuff he said, I guess you could say there were moments where I would kind of verbally spar with him, like I did when he told me the thing about the aquarium, like I prefer that you be honest with me, and I told him I prefer you not ask me questions that you already know the answer to. Like, so there were a few moments like that, but not anywhere I had actually snapped at him until that point in the van. And we were in the van on the way to see, and I just got out of the van and was like, yeah, because it was a blow up. It was a real, like, he tried to say some stuff back, but once I get going and when I'm angry like that, I will just hurt your feelings. And because that's what I went for when he told me what he told me was I just told him, you are terrible at stand up. You've been bombing every show. I don't know why you're mad. But I was angry. And so I was louder about it and I was bitchier in my delivery with it. And I told him in so many words, why don't you get good at stand up? Like that. And so we made it through the tour and everything was supposedly good. And then there was a point where when we got back, he told me, and this again is him being like, trying to big dog on us. And so he got us all on a group call instead of calling me individually. He got us all on a group call and he did this thing where he said he was going to take me off a show. And then he like asked me on the phone with the others if I was all right with that. And there was not any scheduling conflict. I could do the show, and there was no reason that I shouldn't be doing the show. And also, there was no reason that he should have to do that on a group call. If he was firing me or wanting me to sit out the show, he could have just done that. But again, playing head games, which I'm not your girlfriend. I hate when producers, because this has happened before, where producers will try to play these like power or run these power moves on you, or these where it's like, what are you even doing right now? Why are you trying to flex? And so I told him that, because like the way he did it was that way where he's like asking you but telling you at the same time. And then I was like, yeah, I just think that's bullshit. I think that, if I'm supposed to be on the show, I should be on the show. Well, what I want to try to do is, and he was going to have another comedian do it. And then, like, I was just like, yeah, no. I mean, like, if I'm not going to be on the shows anymore, then I'm not going to be on the shows. Like, I'll just quit now. And so we got in another blow up. And I think what happened was he had thought about all the stuff that he would have said to me in the first argument that he wasn't able to get in because I was too quick and too vicious. And so he tried to do that on the phone. And once again, tore his ass up, was not ready for it. And so I did it on the phone, like I said. And then I was like, yeah, I'm not doing the tour. And so Kabir used to joke that instead of calling that tour Keep It 100, he should have called it something else because I was doing nothing but keeping it 100 on that tour and the producer just couldn't handle it. And so that was our joke. So anyway, it's a lot to say, but one of the things Kabir had always been very open about liking about me was the fact that I am so ridiculously vicious. And wow, Carlos Anthony's house looks amazing for Christmas. Um, and so I went ahead and posted when I found out Kabir had died. And I posted something that was very much in my style. So what I posted was, let me tell you, RIP Kabir Singh. The last time I sent you a text, you didn't get back to me. I would like to say I didn't wish this on you, but here we are. Hope you'll take this lesson with you in your next life. Which is just me being fun and silly and bitchy, and it's not at all meant to be, uh, like, obviously, Kabir is gone. I really did love Kabir. Like, he had me open for him one time just to hook me up with something and to hang out with me because he was like, I know you'll kill it and I know you're fun and I want you to come to El Paso was where it was. And he had me feature for him. Even though I had headlined that club before, he wanted me to feature for him, and I agreed to go do it. And so it was me, him, and his girlfriend Kim, and we were hanging out in El Paso, and it was a really good time. I like my point is I really loved Kabir. And so, and if you know anything about me, if you're one of my friends in my personal life, then you know, and I think I've talked about it here too, I'm terrible about returning people's messages. I almost never answer my phone. With me, you always have to wait for the call back because I just don't answer my phone. I'm usually editing or I'm at the gym, or which I went back to the gym tonight after not going for a couple of weeks because I needed to get back in that routine. Like I've told you guys, I really will slip into a depression if I don't work out regularly. My body needs those endorphins, and I've been working so hard on the stuff that I've been working on that I really haven't been going to the gym lately. I have been going to the treadmill here at my building, but not doing full workouts. And I really do need to work out pretty vigorously in order to get the endorphins that I need. So tonight was my first night going back, especially having experienced two different deaths in the last, I think it's been 2 weeks that happened, because Kabir was right after Thanksgiving, and I believe it was right after his birthday that he passed. And then David Germain just passed yesterday. Literally, I saw. And David Germain, you would see regularly in the comments. I don't remember what his username was. I just remember what his picture was, on YouTube. Because he had like a different name, a business name on his YouTube, or a podcast name. And but I really liked David a lot. But my point is, when it came to the Kabir situation, I don't expect everybody to understand me, but I know that anybody that knows me from the comedy world and anybody that knows me in my regular life will know what I mean when I post that kind of message. Good baby, thank you for going potty in your box. Give me just a second, because this girl, she gets a little treat each time that she goes potty in her box. I told you guys she's good about that. She's litter box trained, and so she got to get paid each time she does her little thing. And what I was going to tell you guys, just to wrap it up with the Bijou situation, when it came to, what I'm learning about this little dog, is even the things that I hate about her, because she was getting on my nerves a minute ago, because what she was doing when I got annoyed was she kept jumping against my foot, and she's trying to force me to play with her. And right now she's even jumping halfway on the recliner that I'm on because she's being extremely annoying just to get my attention. Like I said, when I giving her my attention, you saw when I was holding her, she was squirming and wanted to get away from me. And now that I'm not paying attention to her, all she wants is my attention. And we go through this game throughout the day. And if I don't play with her, she'll start trying to pull my hands, and then she'll flip herself upside down next to me and start kicking me in the ribs, and she'll do everything she can to get on my nerves. And when I'm on the recliner, it's kind of a safe space, but usually I have the legs up on the recliner and I'll be working on my computer, and she knows that that's daddy's work time. And also, since she can't reach when it's up, it's it's a safe space. But right now, when my leg is hanging off, this is where she can really be obnoxious about it. So that's why I got annoyed with her earlier. But what I was saying is that I am remembering in a lot of cases that everything that I think I hate about her will one day be what I miss. Because with Bijou was such a good baby, but the only thing that I hated that she would do was she would get so excited for her treats that she would actually sometimes bite my finger. And I don't mean nip it. I mean, she was so excited to get her treat that she would literally bite my finger, and it would hurt. And sometimes her tooth would catch me the right way. And it it was one of those things where I would just get Bijou, what's the matter with you? I get mad like that. And now I miss her biting my finger. And it didn't happen a lot. It wasn't an all the time thing on any level. But when it would happen, it would catch me off guard. And it would just make me mad. And now I would kill to have that little dog bite my finger by accident. Um, but and then also sniffing, she used to like to sniff everything, and I would get so annoyed because sometimes I'd be in a hurry just to take her potty, where I'd be like, can you just go potty and we go inside already so I can get on with my day? And now I wish that she was around to waste my time, sniffing everything. And so with this little dog, I do try to remember that the things that get on my nerves right now are the things that I will one day miss, and hopefully that won't be anytime in the near future, but who knows what tomorrow brings. And that's kind of what this post is about, or this video is about. This episode is just like, not everybody has to understand the way that I mourn things or the way that I express myself when I am mourning. And just because I don't express myself the way that you think I should doesn't mean that I'm not in mourning. Like David Germain is a person that one time he had come over to the place I was staying when I was performing in Colorado Springs, because he was a Colorado guy. And so he had come over to the place that I was staying while I was in town to perform at Looney's. And he wanted me to do his podcast. And so we were recording, and it was really fun. It was a good time. And then all of a sudden he realized that his computer had ran out of memory. And so most of what we had recorded, and we had been recording probably for like 40 minutes or close to an hour, but most of what we had been recording hadn't been captured. Like, it had ran out of memory. His computer had ran out of memory. And I remember being like kind of annoyed because that made it so all the good stuff that we had said, and I was giving him a good interview, because he was wanting to interview me and, get my opinions on comedy and like all the podcast stuff. And I'm, when I want to talk to people, I'm good at it, and I like him. So I was like giving him the good version of me. And then he didn't capture it. And like I said, I was a little annoyed just because it got lost, but I wasn't mad at him on any level. It was just like, well, that's sort of a bummer or whatever. But we always stayed cool. Like, it wasn't like a thing at all, and he always wanted me to record with him again. But it was like the other times that I went to Colorado Springs, it didn't line up time wise. And so we weren't able to make it happen. And one of the last messages I have from him was him asking me if it was okay to talk about the stuff that I had been talking about on his podcast at that time, so he was like, do you mind if I reference what you're talking about? And I just forgot to get back to him, but I don't care whenever anybody uses me for reference or whatever. I don't care, like if you take a clip of something I'm saying and you want to, like, I do that with my stuff all the time with people from TikTok or other podcasters that I like, or, I'll do that stuff on my regular channel stuff. And so I don't, so my point is, when it came to the take it to your bed, come on, take it to your bed, go to your bed, good baby. That's where you eat that. Turn that damn stick again. So my point is, like, I had done that to David, and then since then we had chat, like, we'd had a exchange, so it's not like that was the last one, but it was one of the last ones. But since then we had an exchange. And then with Kabir, it's like, I know that I had left him hanging before, and like me and Kabir, there's certain people that are they're my match in that way, because Kabir is bad at returning messages and I'm bad at returning messages sometimes. Like, just the other day, a friend hit me up on Twitter and thought that I was mad at her because I hadn't responded to the last message she sent me on Twitter. And sometimes with Twitter and even Instagram, I'll forget that people have even messaged me on those platforms. I usually will tell people, like, just text me if you really want to get a hold of me, because the platforms, the messengers on the platforms, I don't really pay attention to. And so I obviously wasn't literally mad at Kabir, and I obviously hadn't wished this on him when he hadn't returned my message the time before. Really, I do that with almost everybody. When people move on, when people pass away, I will a lot of times go to our messages wherever we used to message at, whether it was Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or what's it called? Or text message. And I'll read a couple of the things that we had last said to each other. I don't know why that's comforting for me or just a good way of remembering them and maybe seeing where we left it kind of thing, you know what I mean? Because I know when I like somebody, I don't ever worry about, even though some people think I have a volatile temper or whatever, like I'm not nearly what people think I am. I wish more people knew the people that I like Cody Woods, who's done this podcast before a long time ago, would tell you what it is I'm really like. Stephen Briggs is another one that would tell you what I'm really like. My gay besties, my best friend Renee, like these people could tell you. Well, Renee is not a good one to ask because we're a little too close. We're a little too close of friends, and we've both seen the shitty side of each other. I like that friendship for that, but we're not abusive with each other at all. We're not at all like where we're always. It's just once in a while she'll snap, once in a while I'll snap, and it's a real friendship, but Renee is almost more like a sister to me at this point, and I don't know how that relationship became what it is, but it is what it is, and that's like a real, Renee is my family that's not my blood family, but definitely my family, and so a different animal. I'm not calling you an animal, Renee, if you're watching, and I'm not expecting you to watch. If you're not watching, I don't care. And if you're not watching, you're not hearing me say this anyway. But yeah, so I would never like wish somebody passes away because they didn't return my message. And anybody that knows me and knows my relationship with Kabir, which like I feel like most of the people on my Facebook either know me from being a comedian or from the comedy world, like they're comedians too. So it got like, I'm rarely on Facebook anymore. So it's not like, huge numbers, but it got over 100, probably close to 200 likes or whatever, and 169. And this person hit me up that I don't know why I let this person ever have a DM relationship with me, but here we are. And this is where I'll tell you that people need to be very careful not to abuse their access with me, because nothing will get you either cussed out or cut off or both than trying to act like you know me better than you know me and trying to act like I owe you an explanation for absolutely anything I do or anything I say. That's the way my relationships work best. Like, you guys have met Leonarda on my podcast. If you've watched regularly, you've seen she's been on twice, I believe now. Leonarda is one of my favorite people in the world. One of the reasons that me and Leonarda get along so well is I don't tell her what to say and she doesn't tell me what to say. And we're both nuts. Like, if you look at both of our social medias, there are very different ways that we talk about things, laugh about things, joke about things. Like our politics in a lot of ways are different but somewhat similar. She's smarter than I am, so she cares about things that I don't even notice, and she's world politics and I'm local gossip. She's world politics and I'm local gossip. I can't put it any better than that. But I would never hit Leonarda up and be like, can you not say what you're saying? Or why would you say it? That just wouldn't ever occur to me. And I really like her. But she's a grown woman and she knows the consequences of anything she's saying. And so if any of you ever are on Leonarda's social media and are like, do you know Leonarda saying so-and-so about this particular group? Or do you know that Leonarda is saying this and it might be taken as... I don't care. Leonarda is her own person. She can say whatever she wants. And she knows the same with me. Like, I'm going to say whatever I want. So that's one of the reasons that we get along so well. And so my point is, if anybody really had that kind of relationship with me and were my friend, they would know better than anybody else not to question me about what I'm doing. I'm not hurting myself. I'm not hurting anybody else. I put up a post that 169 people either gave a laugh react to, a heart to, or a like to, because everybody knew that, obviously, because I've told you guys this before. If I don't like people, I usually don't mention them. There are people that I have mentioned that I don't like, and done podcast about, but I'm very clear about that. But I'm not at all passive aggressive. And I'm not subbing on people. I'm direct. If I don't like you, I will say, I don't like you, and so I wouldn't wrap it in a joke, especially when a person has just died. And so this person hit me up that, like I said, I don't know why I even let them think they had this relationship with me. And they sent, again, people start off the way that they want to start off. Am I remember correctly that you were helping Kabir or letting other people know to root for him when he was on America's Got Talent? And then I sent back, yeah, I was. And then they sent, were you at Dirty at 12:30 and telling people to watch him? I put, not at Dirty, just pushing online a lot. And then they sent, did you two have a falling out before he passed away? And again, I'm still being cool because I'm not seeing anything wrong with the line of questioning, and I just sent, not at all. Why do you ask? And then they sent, I saw your comment on Facebook and it sounded like you were upset that he didn't return your phone call. And then I just sent back, I don't know how anybody wouldn't know that was a joke, but, and then I sent the emoji. And then they sent back, what is the punchline? And a screenshot of my post. And so then I just sent them back, what makes you think I owe you any answers? And then I said, if that's what you think this is, I can just block you. And I said, pretty weird to send me screenshots of my own post like I don't know what I said. I wonder why 169 other friends that were mostly comics liked it. From now on, just stay 100% out of my DMs. And that's as nice as I can be about that situation. Because, like I said, I don't owe anybody explanations for anything that I say. And when it comes to me mourning the way that I mourn, you guys all know I loved Bijou more than I've loved anything in my entire life. And that is 100% the truth. But even with her, if you watch the last episode, you saw me say that I was glad that she was dead because she sent me this little curse of an animal. Which obviously, I think this little dog is very sweet. And we're like, she's, update, she is acting like she loves me now. We're getting along much better. Or I should say she's being much better with me because I was being nice to her. But she just was being snotty with me. And now she's like starting to really warm up to me. Too much so in some cases, obviously. But, I clearly am not glad Bijou is dead. I mean, I've dreamt about her a couple of times in the last couple of nights. And I think about her regularly, even though I'm trying to make my mind not think about her just because, like I said, I really want to focus on the love I have and not the love I lost. And so... but if I'll joke about her that way and I loved her more than anything else, then how would you not think that I would joke that way about a friend moving on? And the only reason I didn't do that with David was because it was his family member that actually had posted that he had passed on, and so I didn't want his family to see that tagged, and being that they're not comedians and they were the people that were taking care of him at the end, I didn't know he was going through anything. It's not anything he had mentioned, and it's not the kind of thing you would mention in a YouTube comment, but he hadn't hit me up for anything like that, to say that he was dealing with any health issues or whatever. And I'm rarely on Facebook anymore, which I would imagine that is where he was posting about that stuff if he was posting about it. And so I didn't know he was going through anything. But the only reason that I didn't post something kind of snarky and fun about him was because I didn't want his family to take it the wrong way and for them to be hurt and them to think. But with Kabir, everybody we had in common would have been comedy friends, and if his family, because those are people that, if they were to hit me up in DM and ask me, what my relationship was with somebody, or, kind of like if I was shitting on the memory of the person that they loved. Now, them, I'll give a sincere response to and let them know, oh, yeah, that was just me being silly. And Kabir knew I loved him, but he also did love because, like after I got fired from that tour, which is the way he always liked to put it, even though I basically quit, because I said I didn't want to do things the way that they wanted me to do them. He was like, they really should have called that tour something else, because the last thing anybody needs is you keeping it 100. Like, if you ever get booked on a tour again, they better not call it anything like that. But he really liked, how aggressive I am and how ridiculous I am and how I'll say funny things at inappropriate times. And, that's what he liked about me specifically. He liked that I didn't have a filter. And so, like I said, I knew that he would be looking down from heaven and think that that was funny. Like, it would give him a chuckle. And it gave our mutual comedian friends, like, there are a lot of laugh emojis and people taking it that way. There was one woman in the comments that tried to, like, say that it sounded bitter or whatever, and I told her right in public on the comments, like, you worry about you. I do not care at all what you think. I don't know who you are. I've never seen you online. I've never seen you in real life. Like, save it for somebody else. So this person that DM'd me should have known that that was my attitude. All they had to do was scan the comments to see that that's the way I felt about it. But like I said, if his family members had hit me up and just been like, hey, had my brother, because I know he had sisters, and then his mom, or if, they had hit me up and just been like, hey, did you and Kabir have a falling out, or was there any kind of weird, like, thing, and I saw your post or whatever, I would have gladly explained to them and been like, no, it's all meant to be, just fun and silly, and sorry if it hit you a particular way. But strangers that have no connection, because like I said, people really don't understand that, like, every person that knows me in real life knows that this is what I'm like. I mean, even my mom, who doesn't have a social media, my mom has no social media presence on any platform. My mom doesn't even have an interest in figuring out, my mom doesn't have an email. My mom also doesn't have a phone. My dad she has a phone for emergencies and she refuses to turn it on. Like, that is literally the way my mother is. She knows about Facebook. She literally told me one time, yeah, I know about Facebook and I would be on Facebook, but I have a life. And that's what she told me. Quotes, exactly what she told me. I have a life. I'm like, okay, well, excuse me, Miss Snotty, I'm too good for social media. And that's just the way she feels about social media. She watches her shows, and like I said, she has a phone but refuses to turn it on. So once in a while, and I'm so used to her not paying attention to her phone that I don't even have her number stored in my phone, even though she's had the same phone number for however long. I refuse to even store her number in my phone because it's absolutely useless. I can never call her. She's not going to check her messages. If I want to speak with my mother, I have to be vetted. I have to be vetted by my father. I really have to. I call him and I say, he'll be, hello, I love my dad. Like, which, like, anybody that has a picture of my dad being like some Mexican, don't be gross. We are Mexican American, but just like, sometimes people have this picture of my dad like talking with an accent and stuff like that. My dad is very American. He's fluent in English, he's fluent in Spanish too, but and no accent, like nothing like that. Like the stereotype that people always do this impression of what they think my parents are like, like my mom being super Mexican or whatever, and my dad being like, them both being from the other side of the border or whatever. Like, that's not my life. But there, I have to call him and he'll be like, hello. And then I'll be like, what's up, daddy-o? And I'll be like, hey, Mio, what are you doing? And I'll just tell him, I'm whatever I'm doing. And then I'll be like, is mom close by? And he'll be like, she may be. And I'll be like, ask her if she's in the mood to talk to me right now. And sometimes he'll be like, honey, your son's on the phone. Do you want to talk to him right now? He wants to know if you want to talk to him right now. And I'll hear her in the background say, tell him I'm busy. And that's what it is. I'll just be like, all right, well, tell her to call me sometime, or I'll call back later or whatever. Sometimes she'll get my dad's phone from him at that point and just be like, yes, what do you want? And then, she'll tell me to just move on with it. For anybody that's wondering what those cuts are, my dog keeps like, she'll leave me alone for a minute and then she'll harass me again. And I'm trying to wrap up my podcast. She's going to have to learn not to do this. And I am going to continue to leave her out while I record my podcast, because she just has to learn to leave me alone when I'm busy. And I know how these little dogs work. And eventually they do catch the pattern that there are certain times that they've got to leave you alone. And so I don't plan to like put her in her carrier every time I record my podcast. Like, I do want to be able to trust her to just be out and doing her own thing. She's got her toys spread out all over the floor. I bought her another little toy today, and now she's back to playing with her toys again. But just every once in a while, she'll start attacking my foot again. And it's just like, I'll put up with it for a while. That's why you'll see me jerking every once in a while. And then all of a sudden there'll be a cut because I finally get like, enough, like, leave me alone, enough, just relax for a little bit, just do your thing, play. And so yeah, and so with my mom, it's like, like, I know not to even save her number because there's no reason for me to, so but what I was gonna say is, she would never, ever, like, hit me up about, unless I said something that was really crossed the line, as far as, I can't even think of anything that she would consider to be, I guess if I said anything that was really negative about my sister that had passed away, or maybe, but I would never do that, and not because of political correctness or my mom, but just because, one, I loved my sister, and then as far as the rest of my family goes, we have a very real relationship, like me and my family, like, my niece, my sisters, we have very real relationships, and I can honestly say that I don't not like them, and I can't imagine what they could ever do that would make me mad at them in the first place, like mad like that, like, because, we all get on each other's nerves at different points in my family, like sometimes it'll be petty stuff. Like one time my niece told me not too long ago, I almost say my sister sometimes with my oldest niece, because her and her kids, they're almost like my younger siblings, because their mom passed away when they were super young. And also, even before their mom passed away, they just were, because my sister had my niece when she was super young. I think my sister was 15 when she got pregnant with my niece, and then she had her at 16, I believe is the way it went. And so she was living with us, when my niece was born. And then for, most of my niece's life, my niece lived in the same house with me, along with my sister. And my sister was making plenty of money. I told you guys, but just, being a single mother for a lot of that, it's easier to have my mom be able to babysit the kids while she works and stuff like that, rather than. And also we liked having my nephews and nieces around, so it wasn't even like a thing, it was having babies around. So I was like, sometimes, just like with this puppy, that sometimes is a little too much, the kids would be a little too much. But I don't remember us ever feeling like, I just wish you would leave, or I wish you would take your kids and get out. We didn't have that kind of relationship. But so I almost say my sister when I talk about my niece or whatever. But not too long ago, we were on the phone and I was sneezing and I couldn't. No, we were in person. It was one of the times I was visiting, and I kept sneezing. And then finally she got like, will you cut it out already? And I was like, Jesus, I'm just sneezing. I guess I'll just die over here. And like, so we have those kind of like, moments with each other, but even that's fun. But I could never imagine them doing anything that I would be mad at them, and especially mad and come to my podcast about. Um, so, and that would be the only thing that my mom would ever like think about hitting me up on. But she doesn't watch my podcast anyway, so it's not like she would ever know that that was happening. But my point is, there's nobody in my life that would ever hit me up to tell me what it is I should and shouldn't be saying. So I don't know where these strangers on the internet get this idea that they're going to be the ones to regulate me and make sure that I'm saying things a particular way. You'll get blocked. I don't care what you do. I know which of my subscribers and listeners have been there for me in that way. There are very few people that really have been with me long term, kept relationships with me through DM, where it's been like, they're an actual in real life friend. Like they've moved from just being fan, or a person that likes what I do, watches it, to like being my friend. Like I've mentioned Cindy Calderon before. Cindy Calderon is a person that I feel like is a real friend. And so if she were to hit me up and ask me a question, but Cindy also wouldn't ask me that kind of question because she's watched my stuff long enough that she knows how I work and how I run. She could ask me any question she want and I'd answer it, but she would never lead me down to like send me a screenshot and where's the punchline. I don't got to show you shit. I don't know why you think I'm supposed to show you a punchline. If you can't find a punchline or you can't figure out how it's funny, maybe you shouldn't be watching my shit in the first place. Anyway, stay unbothered.